Hey everyone, D-Dub Squizzy here, and welcome to Baldur's Gate. So I'm going to be doing a no-pause run of this game. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's kind of self-explanatory, it's basically the title. I'm going to be trying to play the game without pausing. Now, I have a few house rules for this, because this is a challenge I have attempted before, and I failed. I made it through Baldur's Gate 2, eventually died. Basically what happened was, I was a half-orc Berserker. The Berserkers are, in my opinion, the most overpowered class in the game. Without backup, though, they have some serious shortcomings, like, you know, not having anything to deal with traps, which was a major flaw, or having no ability to deal with mages, which they also don't have. So this time I'm going to be going with a Fighter Thief, still a half-orc. Now, I do not bind myself by any kind of nonsensical rules or restrictions. I'm allowed to use whatever exploits, metagaming, or anything I know to win a fight and do whatever it takes to win. So basically, I'm not saying I'm not allowed to pause at all. I can pause outside of combat, or if it's not going to prevent combat or anything like that. So if I'm at the edge of something's sight and it's walking towards me and I know it's going to see me and I pause, but I'm not in combat yet, that doesn't count. I'm not allowed to cheat like that, basically. I'm likely not going to be pausing much at all, but there are times when, you know, it's optimal to buff at certain times and whatnot, so I might not even do that. But if I pause in combat, which sometimes my reflexes do, they usually don't, but if they do, the rule is I just have to unpause as fast as possible the moment I realize, and not take any time to strategize or anything using that. I'm going to have some seriously good numbers, too. Because I need a high enough charisma to get a bunch of the quests, because I'm going to be trying to... Oh, that's close. That's real close. I'm going to be trying to do every quest, like, basically all the content that's in the game. Now, there are a couple of other things, too. I have both Baldur's Gate tweaks active, and I have the cheats. Now, I'm not going to be using the cheats for anything except for exploring maps. Whenever I finish actually exploring a map as much as I can, there's still a bunch of it that's black, like covered in the fog, and you can't remove it because it's areas you can't walk. Ooh, that's perfect. You can't walk over things like water, and so you can't remove that fog, it's just there. But I like to have a finished picture, so I use that just for my own, like, satisfaction's sake. I don't consider that cheating, and so I'll be using that. I will eventually go full-on two-weapon style, but I don't have enough proficiencies to go around, and I need to be able to kite things. So, I'll be using that, and then as far as the Baldur's Gate tweaks go, that's a whole different animal, basically. Most of the things I have are for convenience and quality of life, and most of them don't affect either of the classes I'm using here. One thing that it does affect, the proficiency system, lets me get 5 proficiencies, since I'm a fighter. I'm a half fighter, right? Fighter Thief. It lets me get 5 proficiencies in weapons. Some people think that's cheating. I disagree heartily. I'm a Fighter Thief, which means I should have full ability to do both. That's why I gain experience half as fast. I think that just makes sense. As well, I removed the experience cap because I think it's stupid. So everything I do, I'm actually getting experience for. It doesn't arbitrarily cut off at some point for no reason at all. These might seem unfair, but logically I don't think they are at all. I might also change his appearance. I have one of the tweaks that lets me adjust the way my people look. Because I like having them look, you know, appropriate for what they are. Let's see, what are we going to use?
Get over here!
I like that one. That works. And we're playing it on Insane, so that's the reason these things aren't really cheating. Because everything is going to be dealing double damage.
Nestled atop.
Okay, so let me go change my look real fast. I have the avatar morphing script on. So with that, I can do this, that. I think it's that, right? How do you do this? That's not it. That one's not there. There we are. Alright. Yeah. Half fork. And we're gonna go with the thief look. Bam.
Right, what's this then?
I like that much better. Otherwise, I don't use custom AI at all. I can pick up party members, but I won't be keeping a full party, because I need experience for what I need experience for.
I'm on it.
It's hard to find decent folk nowadays.
As well, I will be using story mode once. I don't think that's a big deal. And you might see why in a moment. I don't know if I can
No
convince
time
these
to
people.
chit-chat.
This one. Yeah, I don't have a high enough charisma to get them to put their stuff where I can steal it, sadly.
Sorted.
I think if you put everything into to pick lock, you can get one of these chests without having to use story mode, but that's why I use it, is to get into a chest. And it's early on, because I need the money. It's not really affecting combat, and I do that in my normal playthroughs, just because it's always annoying that there's loot in here you should be able to get, but can't with the amount of lockpicking they give you. And I can't do it with my strength. So I go story mode, gives me 25 strength, broken, on story mode. And, bada bing, we're good. I tried playing one of these challenges with a normal thief, and, I got massacred. The plain and simple reason was... Wow, he actually hit me? Are you kidding? I got into a position where I was fighting a group of people. The only way they could hit me because of my armor class was with a 20, which isn't always hit. The only problem with that, because that's normally pretty... That's fine, normally. The issue with that is it was actually a crit, because I didn't have helmet because I was a thief.
My hotel's as clean as
Which
an
meant
elven
I got
arse.
torn to pieces because they dealt so much damage so fast. I ran out of healing potions before I reached Nashkel and got killed along the road. I didn't want to buy a helmet there. I have a helmet now. Where's a dart? Not a dart. Bolt. There we go. The tweaks change a couple of other things too, so
Right,
the big
what's
ones
this
are the
then?
ones that I mentioned, but they also do things like larger ammo capacities.
Hello there.
Potions don't arbitrarily stop stacking at 24 for some reason. You could stack necklaces and rings. Bags have infinite depth that they can hold things in, and they're put in more convenient locations. I mean,
Sorted.
technically, it's not how the game is normally played, but I think the way I see it, I just fixed things that should have already been fixed. That's a lot of damage. Sling is honestly an optimal way to go. I might switch over to using slings eventually, because slings do a lot of damage. I have a high strength, and slings actually get strength bonuses. But a bow has 2 attacks by default. And that's a big deal.
What do you need?
Having 2 attacks while trying to kite enemies right out of the gate is super useful. I am a thief, but I'm probably going to be wearing a bunch of plate mail and whatnot early on in the game. Because, see, I only have 13 hit points, so I can't afford to get hit very much.
Hey,
Enemies already deal double damage because it's on insane difficulty. Whack it. Come on. Come here. That's unnecessary, but I always do it every time anyway.
By Moradin's hammer.
No,
I'm on
actually, I don't know if they follow you outside. I don't think they do. Pretty sure I can hit them no problem, so I'm just going to dual wield my way
Right,
through
what's
this.
this then?
I would try to play the game on Legacy of Ball. This one room is the reason I didn't.
Sorted.
Those things got 3 attacks around, and they hit every time and dealt, like, double or triple damage. I got TPK'd by 5 rats,
Sorted.
and so I gave up on that really quick. Sadly, I don't have enough charisma to get the best results out of all these things, but the stats to get that are... I mean, I've never gotten them, and I've been playing this since I was very young.
Our rules are very strict.
I did play one of these in the past, if this seems familiar
Right,
to anyone.
what's this
I don't know
then?
if many people actually saw it, because my channel was always very small. But I did play one of these before. Oh,
These
right.
walls
I haven't even
contain
said the stakes of this
world's
game.
knowledge.
Because if it were just a no-pause run, that'd be nothing.
Sorted.
I have 3 lives. 3 reloads, actually. If I choose to reload for any other reason, like I missed something that I want, reloading costs a life. I can only do it 3 times, and death includes that. There are 2 exceptions to this rule that I'm aware of. There could be more. Charm and Maze. Both effects are non-lethal, and if I had one other person in the party, I would survive, but because of the game's engine, you instantly lose if you're the only character and you get mazed or charmed.
I have a
Sorted.
blade with your name on it.
And so, one of those rules is... Wow, I've been getting a lot of crits.
Right, what's this then?
And so I have the rule, if one of those things results in me having to reload,
Something on your
that does not count. But those are the only exceptions. If I die, if I get something like petrified or imprisoned, that's death. And that requires reload, which costs a life. And so there actually are stakes here.
Sorted.
I probably should have said that before.
joined the army.
Because otherwise it's just kind of, you know, boring normal run. If you have an 18 charisma, he
Right,
gives you a
what's this
magical
then?
dagger right out the gate. I mean, it's just a +1 dagger, and basically no one uses daggers who knows what they're doing. Don't mind my daggers. But it's worth 150 gold immediately, which is a big boost. I also like the fact that the Enhanced Edition gave Hull his sword. He actually uses it once you deliver it to him.
It's me,
I always thought that was
Owen.
cool. Gotta find Teth Toril and get his scroll. I played a Berserker last time but I mean honestly, there were some areas where it was extremely difficult and some areas where it was extremely easy. Because see, you're really strong, right? You're a straight up fighter. I was dual wielding long swords. I dealt lots of damage because I had a lot of strength, and I was a high level fighter. And at any point, I could go berserk. Early in the game, that's a big deal because that's an extra 15 hit points. And right, the biggest problem I have at this point in the game is that I only have 13 hit points. I cannot take a hit. And so being able to double that, which I think the max you can get as a fighter right out of the gate is 15, being able to double that to 30 at first level at any point I needed it, basically assured me victory in any scenario. Combine that with the fact that a Berserk makes you immune to all mind effects, and it was a no-brainer, because mind effects are a problem for someone that doesn't have magic.
Right, what's this
I'm
then?
going to have to figure my way around those. I'm going to have to be very careful.
I'm on it.
It's hard to find decent folk nowadays.
Because not having the thief abilities was, it was a bit of a problem. I could play through the whole game with almost any class solo, as long as I'm allowed to pause, but given that this isn't a, you know, it's a no-pause run, that's not useful at all. I might change out of this skin. No, it doesn't show the helmet, so I'm good. I like the thief look more. I'm not going to be playing through Siege of Dragonspear either. I have it. I think it's normally decent fun, but it is poorly balanced. As poorly balanced as anything could be, honestly. And that's when I have a full party of 6 people who are at a decent level on, you know, a reasonable difficulty. I mean, given the way that this run is going to go, I'd get massacred within 4 seconds, basically, of playing the actual game. And so, that's not going to happen. These swords are spares, because they break on me all the time. Right, armor. I didn't pick up any armor. I can't do thieving stuff in it, but I don't care. Splint mail it is. I have to be able to defend myself. So with this and this, that gets me down to a -1 right out of the gate, which is very useful. So whenever I need to go to sword mode, I can't be touched. It's not like I'm going to be doing combat thieving stuff early on in the game, and I need to do whatever I can to avoid any other hits. Early game stuff that'll crit me, which is the only way most stuff is going to be able to hit me, I can just healing potion through. I don't have a lot of them, but I have something. And until I get down to Nashkel and get my healing ability, it's going to be annoying.
Oh, my child, I am
yeah, ready to
glad
go.
I have found you. Listen carefully. If we ever become separated, it is imperative that you make your way to the Friendly Arm Inn. There you will meet Khalid and Jahira. They have long been my friends, and you can trust them.
The way Enhanced Edition changed this opening scene is so awesome. Like, right from there, where you have the priest
Let's
heal
hurry,
you
child.
instead of Brian, because
The night
Brian
can
healing
only
you
get worse,
never
so we
made
must
sense.
find
He's a
shelter
mage.
soon.
In every
Don't
way,
worry.
he's a mage.
I will explain everything as soon as there is time.
He wasn't even a human, though, and didn't have a class if you used cheats to take control of him. And now
Wait,
he is.
there is something wrong. We are in an ambush.
But this here, this was a
Prepare yourself.
masterpiece that they changed. Like, originally, this fight was kind of lame.
Sorry that you, old man.
Get out of here.
Whoa, that was a glitch. Or lag or something.
I'm on it.
It's me, Emmoen.
I will say, from my time playing the other No Pause run, I found that there is nothing in the game quite as broken as Lightning Bolt. That was what cost me one of my lives that I lost. The other one was I mistimed how long a potion of Mirror Eyes lasted and got petrified by a basilisk. But the first time, I was exploring Firewine Ruins, doing whatever I could to make it through. And the lightning bolt trap went off, hit me, repositioned after hitting me, and bounced between me and the walls, killing me in less than a second. Because on insane difficulty, it deals double damage. It already does, like, I don't know, 60-10 damage or something like that on that trap. And when it hits you, for some reason, the game decides you count as a wall now, and will reposition the lightning bolt, which it's not supposed to do, but it did anyway. Despite me removing the lightning bolt bouncing from, with the tweaks. Like, that was one of the things I changed, but apparently the change didn't take effect, because it never works. So I hate lightning bolts. I think that's one of the cheapest spells in this game. Like, if it had a certain number of times it could hit you, just, like, by default, it hits everyone once, let's say, and then that's it. That'd be no problem. But the fact that every time it bounces, it can hit you again, and that the game will make it chase you. I had them chase me down a hallway. Like, I was weaving and bobbing, going into different rooms. They would bounce off just perfectly to chase me as I was running away. If the game uses them against you, they never work out in your favor when you fire them, and they're way too dangerous. Because every time they bounce off of anything, they can hit you again. And on the difficulty this is on, that's basically instant death. I had to use potions to get through Firewine. This guy's a thief, so I could just disable traps. But I will be keeping a lot of potions handy. I'll tell you that. Kiting is going to be a bit annoying early on. Because in order to properly kite, you normally have to pause, and I'm going to have to make do without.
Right, what's this then? Sorted.
I think there are some pro strats involving just going straight to High Hedge and then Baragost, but I have the same path I follow almost every time, and I think it's a solid one.
Montalon, you are so aggravating! 'Tis disturbing to my demeanor!
Psychos. You get so much healing and 2 potions of speed right out of the gate. I don't know if they realized what they were handing you when they made this game. Like, was this... Sometimes I feel like Baldur's Gate wasn't made by people that actually played D&D. Because they just give you so much stuff. I mean, it's fun.
You'll already be disturbed. Now leave me be.
It probably has to
Your
be that way
company
for...
be toil enough as is.
It probably has to be that way for a computer game, just because they don't want you to slog through everything, and of course it's hard to randomize things. Neverwinter Nights is evidence that randomization doesn't work entirely as planned every time, but still, I feel that they sometimes give you a little more than they should. Alright, there's likely a wolf. There he is.
Get over here.
Oh, get away. Yeah, so this is what a lot of the early game's gonna be. Fighting anything with any significant damage potential. We run and we shoot. Gets +4 to a hit, and I do not like that. Ah, come on, hit him. At least they let you outrun wolves for some reason. Oh, no, that's the issue with kiting and not pausing. Yeah, okay, you know what? Let's go. This is why I have a shield and splint mail. 8 healing potions. Did I get 2 attacks? Oh, 3 every 2. Is that because of my proficiencies? That's actually huge, because I put 2 in longsword. I didn't know that. Yeah, basically I have a shield because by the time I have enough proficiencies to be good at dual wielding, because it's not worth dual wielding if you don't have enough proficiencies in it. It'll just do you more harm than good. And so the reason I'm using a shield right now is just because I need to do whatever I can to preserve my life by any means necessary. Why do I carry that? This, I guess. And so I have low hit points, so I need to cover myself, and I can't hit when dual wielding basically at all anyway, so I might as well just use a shield in its place. By the time I have enough proficiencies to dual wield, I'll have more hit points and won't need the extra protection as well. Because hit points are the main limiting factor here. I'll also, likely by that point, have the Shadow Armor, which is plus 3 studded leather, and is better than what I'm wearing now, plus I can do thieving stuff in it. Fighter Thieves can be very powerful. They don't level up as fast as Swashbucklers, which makes Swashbucklers end up usually being stronger. But since I'm alone, I think the split in experience is worth having, or is not that big of a deal. There's not a lot in this area either, and I need quite a bit to level up, which is part of the reason I have to explore it entirely. There's a couple bears and wolves and gibberlines sometimes, and I need to squeeze out any extra experience I can get. I've also played an evil character, if you notice. That's because I have some items I plan to use way later that require an evil alignment. On top of that, I can then, I don't know, guess kind of stay in character while doing the horrible things I'm going to be doing, because I have to win. Like Unsheath's Girdle. Normally with Unsheath's Girdle, I hate it when a game gives you an item like that Girdle of Piercing, which is a
Get over here!
seriously powerful and useful item, and then make you choose between either keeping it or giving it away for an atrocious amount of experience. Late game, it's not that big of a deal, but early on, the extra defense versus piercing is huge because you're dealing with a lot of archers and small enemies using piercing weaponry. Alright, yeah, he's got his morale failure. Take him out while he runs. He's gonna turn red soon. Got him. Ah, there's a gibberling.
Get over here!
I do not fear these guys. I can say that confidently. What was I saying? Right, the Girdle of Piercing. It's worth 800 experience to turn it in, but doing so takes the Girdle of Piercing from you, which is super helpful. That annoys me, because it's a powerful magical item that's super useful, but you have to get rid of it in order to get the amount of experience that's basically essential at that stage of the game. And so I'm going to have to generate reputation through other means, and then kill Unsheath to get it back, basically. I'm currently at a 9. And I think killing him at a 10 reputation drops you down to 6, which is real low. But I only have like one big purchase that I plan on spending the entire game, so I'm not really all that worried about having a low rep. Eventually, with evil characters, I get to a point in the game where I'm very strong, and story-wise, I think it makes sense to have a low reputation. After you're accused of murder, the Flaming Fist are already out to get you, so I might as well just complete the effect, drop my reputation to a 1.
Get over here!
Which is generally what ends up happening when I'm an evil character. When I'm a good party, I don't do that.
Get over here!
Come on, morale fail. His morale is not failing. It is unwise to ever engage in close quarters combat with these things and not be
Get over here!
more than capable of killing them without an issue. Like, one strike from that could kill me, potentially. I think. They would have to do 7 damage normally, which they probably can. On top of that, they get 3 attacks, which means that thing will put me down in a second. I guess I could magic missile him. I do have this thing. Yeah, that works. I might as well use it. I'm gonna end up selling it when I get over to the friendly arm, but you know, while I have it. Most of the cases in this game you can get for free, so I don't plan on buying them, for the most part. But the ammo belt and the bag of holding are both very useful, and so I've had the tweaks add those in. You don't have to worry about me getting too overpowered, though. The ammo belt is sort of just a slight convenience thing, and the bag of holding is way late in the game, so yeah. I think that the tweaks I have balance the game enough where it's still fun, but doesn't make you unstoppable. Especially not on this difficulty. The multi-class only having 2 proficiencies thing
Don't touch me.
always
I might
annoys me.
catch something.
I think that's just a stupid rule, Like, I'm getting the same amount of thieving skills, or like, thieving skill points? Getting the same amount of points as a thief, every level up, that I would be getting if I was a straight thief. So why wouldn't, which means I have the full capability of a thief at the level that multi-class is. So why in the world wouldn't I have everything else the other classes have? When you're a mage, you still have all the same spells that you would have normally. I mean, you gain them just as quickly. And so, it just makes sense to me. Every other multi-class gets all of their normal benefits at a slower rate, which is the trade-off. Except for a fighter, where they just straight up take the benefits away. I mean, Grand Mastery is the thing that the fighters get. That's their whole... That's the paragon of what their class achieves. That's what makes them strong, basically.
Oh, there, Wanderer.
Right, what's this then?
Stay thy course a moment.
And
to
you're gonna
indulge
take
in
it
old
away
man.
for, I don't know, balancing purposes? And not really balancing purposes. It takes forever to get to that level of proficiency anyway. I mean, it wouldn't have to. I could have just put everything into Longsword right out of the gate. But I didn't do that. I think one of the tweaks actually changes how much, what's it called? These words just keep leaving my brain whenever I'm talking. One of the tweaks changes the benefits that Grand Mastery grants. I think it makes it a little more. Can't remember exactly. But when I was installing the tweaks, because I used them for my normal games, I made sure not to make myself too overpowered with everything except a shapeshifter. Because I just think if a shapeshifter can turn into a werewolf, I might as well get what a werewolf gets. Abilities and all. Overpowered or not. You made the game, so I don't want to be the wimpy little fake werewolf who can hardly kill a mouse without getting himself killed. So that tweak does make you overpowered. The one that makes you have an actual werewolf's capabilities, but I don't think the others do. By the time you have Grand Mastery, like I said, you're a very high level. At least, you know, comparatively speaking. And anything that can still put up a fight when you're that kind of a level, I mean, a couple more bonuses to damage or to hit or whatever aren't going to make that big of a difference.
Hello, pal.
But they are a little bit of a difference, and I think it's deserved if you get to Grand Mastery and a weapon proficiency. I know that there are a lot of people who don't pick up these magical rings out of the gate. Also, I will be just auto-exploring any civilized areas that don't explore themselves. I consider the Friendly Arm a civilized area. That's just for my own convenience sake, because there's nothing random about this area. And I already know it all like the back of my hand. There's 2 hobgoblins right here, there's 3 up here, there's 2 more over here, and then there's everything in the Friendly Arm, and that's it. So, you know, why keep it secret? Okay, we're getting to our first boss fight. And I'm going to do some stuff around the Friendly Arm, and that's where I'll end the episode. But first, we gotta kill Tarnesh. So here's the plan. This is going to be irrelevant. If I can hide in shadows, I can backstab him, I think. And I'm pretty sure at first level that'll still let you do double damage, which could be enough to insta-kill him. If it isn't, I can flee inside the place before he can get a horror off. Because if he chucks 5 magic missiles at me, even minimum, they would almost kill me, and they're not going to do minimum. I know that for certain. Got it. Alright. That dude's an issue normally. For the Berserker, he wasn't. I just went Berserk, and he couldn't touch me. His fear didn't work. I just tanked all of his magic missiles. And by the time he was done with those spells, he was out of mirror images, and I killed him. I'll be back out to get the rest of that in a second.
Right, what's this then?
Hey, friend. Good to meet a fine sod such as yourself.
It's about... Then why do you bother me? Be gone.
Yes?
Got Khalid and
Calm
Shahira
yourself,
here with
dear.
some more
We must
overpowered
proceed
objects right out of the gate.
carefully.
Top of more healing potions. They have a potion of invisibility. Another big deal item. Okay, I'm gonna hand these over real quick. And I'm gonna be right back.
Right, what's this then?
You must
gather your party
Come on.
before venturing.
Sorted.
You must gather your party before venturing forth.
I always copy the notes just
I'm
for
on it.
my own sake. I think it adds to the enjoyment of the game. I should get this identified. Frankly, I should get all this identified.
I'm on it.
There's some valuable things around here as well. And I will be looting this place to my heart's content. Because there's a lot in here worth looting. So let's head out to the temple
I'm on it.
where I can get some identifying done. I don't have to identify the magic items that I'm going to use. You know, I should
You
hold
are
off on
welcome
doing that,
here
actually.
in Garl Glittergold's sight.
Yeah, identify these. I'm going to be wearing the ring. I might identify it later just because I enjoy the
I'm
look
on
of
it.
having everything identified, but those things I'm going to sell, so yeah.
I'm on it.
I tried to artificially raise my
on it.
reputation last time with my Berserker. And I didn't know how it worked, where if you have a higher reputation, it takes
Salted.
more to increase the reputation, and vice versa if it's lower. And so it just took a bunch of extra money from me without giving me an actual reputation increase. I was unhappy, so I swore vengeance against this place. Eventually, I returned and exacted that vengeance, and everyone died. They called in the Flaming Fist to stop me, but that was literally at the end of the game, so the Flaming Fist did nothing. You have anything worth picking up, Bentley? He has plate mail, but I don't think I want to spend the kind of money that would cost to get it. And I'm going to get a gem bag eventually anyway. Kick these two out.
How
Sorted.
long must we wait here? Things stir to the south as we sit.
I'm on it.
Alright. Looting time. I won't be able to get into everything, and I won't be using story mode for it. For one, it isn't worth it. And two, it's kind of later in the game, and I don't want to be using story mode for everything. But I'll still be picking every lock, even if I can't loot them, because like he's in there. I could punch him out, but that could have disastrous consequences in the future. I'll eventually loot that
You
when I
cannot
kill
get
Unshi,
better than the stability stone walls provide.
because I'm going to need that belt. Everything else I can use to generate income until I have my basic setup finished and all the things I'm going to buy as far as big purchases go done. Then I can start doing the things I need to do. I don't really want to kill Unshi early, but I don't think I have a choice, because I would prefer to keep my rep high until I buy the shadow armor, because it's expensive. But there's more than enough money. Actually, can I break that myself? No. There's more than enough money in the game to get it eventually, no matter what it costs. Though I would prefer to get it early. You know, what are you going to do? These I'll be able to pick, just watch. Yep. Not that one, but the other one. Apparently these cabinets have better locks than the chests.
Sorted.
No time to chit-chat.
Alright, I don't plan on keeping the golden pantaloons or making big metal unit, but you get a free 100 experience just for taking them and giving them back.
A pleasure it is to meet you.
A lot of these I can't pick. I am kind of terrible at everything right now. So did I actually do double damage to Tarnesh? Oh wow, that's right at the start. Before that, before this, further back. Yeah, double damage, 23. It was basically just a free crit. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind, because I could just keep on trying to go hide in shadows until it works every time, if I need to. There's not a lot that I think would actually require that kind of dedication. But But some stuff, definitely. And the things that are actually heavily armored, I wouldn't do that for. But once my lockpick and disable trap skills are at a satisfactory level, because those are the essentials, I'll start putting everything into stealth. And I'm going to have the sneaky boots and the shadow armor to help me out with that, too. Once those are high enough, it's all into traps, because traps are a game changer if you can get them off. Sadly, set traps is the only thing out of all your skills that starts at 0, so, you know, you have to really build it up. I have to assume this here is Khalid and Jaheira's room, because it's got leather armor and a quarterstaff, which is basically all that Jaheira has at the start.
Right, what's this then?
Frankly, I don't think it matters much.
Sorted.
But these are the kind of things that I think about. Man, I'm so used to just teleporting everywhere on my normal games. Whenever I'm in a civilized area, I know everything that's going to happen. To avoid wasting times, I just use Control-J to hop around. But I won't be doing that here. Despite how much I want to, because I don't have the boost of speed, so I'm moving like a snail. Did he just find the corpse of, well, what's left of the corpse of Tarnash? The way he was standing, he looked kind of, oh, they all look kind of hostile. What's going on with you guys?
Right, what's this then?
I mean, my reputation isn't that bad.
Right, what's this then?
Yes?
This will get me a rep point, which I sorely need. I need to carefully manage when I gain and lose reputation, because there are a couple kills and other things that will make you lose a lot of rep that I kind of need to do. Eventually I'll have enough money, I won't have to worry about it, because I can just go pay it off if I need to. It gets progressively more expensive, but not by a lot, and I don't need a particularly high reputation, just enough to keep the fist off my back. And I might look into it to know if it's safe to kill Unshi with a 10 reputation. I'd prefer not to have to pay if I don't have to. Yeah, these guys, the last time I played, almost killed me.
I'm on it.
Because they rolled 2 or 3 20s over the course of the whole time I went through them with my swashbuckler, which is what I tried to play. I didn't record for it. I was just trying to play through a normal no-pause run. They kept critting me. Because I was just a swashbuckler, so I only had 2 proficiencies, and one of them was in shortbow. So I wasn't particularly good at fighting. But on top of that, I didn't have a helmet, so every time they critted, they'd deal, I think, quadruple damage, because it was also, you know, on a higher difficulty. By this point, with that guy, though, I'm pretty sure I had leveled up. Because I killed 2 bears, 2 wolves, 2 gibberlings, and of course Tarnash. Did a couple other things, and I had healing potions, which I was using liberally. I haven't had to use one yet. I'm gonna have to use it pretty soon here, though, because I said I hadn't used one yet. I know how this works. I should explore these areas, too. I like opening up the pathways to all the surrounding places. It's kind of a pain to do, but once you do it once, you never have to do it again, so I'm gonna do that, too.
Forward march! Forward march!
Oh, he's running. He's not running. He's dead. That guy had 57 gold on him. He's probably holding out on the others. Alright. Peld Vale.
I'm on it.
It's a nightmare location.
I'm on it.
Fortunately, there's no other threats out here. I remember being told there was one specific area, right north of Nashkel, I believe, North Nashkel Road, that would have a randomly spawning vampiric wolf. And I used to be terrified of exploring that place, because I was told it only comes out at night, and it can randomly spawn, and if you don't have the means to kill it, of course, it'll put you down. I can conclusively say, in all the time I've played this, I have never encountered any such thing in that area, so I think that's rumor. And it was only among my family, so it probably was. They just mistook something. I don't know of a single randomly appearing vampiric wolf. I know where they all are.
Right, what's this then?
There's 2 in the temple.
Right, what's this then?
And to tell you the ones I know about, I might miss one, I don't know, but... There are 2 in the temple area, just east of Baragost. There's, I believe, 2 in the first level of the ship, the destroyed ship on Werewolf Island, and then there's one on the second level. I know that there's one in
Sorted.
the Oldcaster Ruins, down at the bottom of it. And I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. If there are any others, I'm not aware of their existence. Just like basilisks. Well, actually, basilisks can randomly spawn. They can waylay you way out in the distance, which if it happens is basically instant death. Unless you are really good at making your save or have quick reflexes or are just ready for it.
Sorted.
A waylay from a basilisk is really bad. Okay, so I only need 311 more experience, which actually means I need 622. But the point still stands. That was actually very useful, and I'm another rep point up. So I'm going to go sell all this. I'm going to rest, even though I don't think I need to. I have a 19 constitution, so I can be awake for like 24 hours without experiencing any ill effects. Maybe longer. Might be like 48 or 72, actually. I can be up for a while. Now, I've been playing through my own game, just a regular game, with the default party. Khalid, Jahira, Imoen, Dynahir, and Minsk. And Minsk has the lowest constitution of that whole party, and he's a ranger. The game actually says, if you click on Constitution when selecting your abilities, it actually says Constitution is the prime requisite of the ranger, and they gave one of their only 2 rangers that you can pick up in the game the lowest constitution of the whole base party. It still confounds me to this day. How does Dynahir have a higher constitution than Minsk? I guess it's Mage's Scope. She's a pretty hardy mage. I mean, like, Zan and Edwin always felt like a bundle of sticks. If something touches them, they're dead. Dynahir can at least take a punch. I would not expect it from Imoen, though. I think she might have the same as Minsk, but maybe one more. I don't know. Minsk's is really low, because he's always the first to get tired in my party, and it makes me angry. Well,
sorted.
That's it for this one. So next, we'll be heading down... Whoopsie. We'll be heading down into the area below it. We'll be clearing the whole thing out, getting Unshe's Girdle. A terrifying endeavor, I might add, because that ogre can one-shot me. Once I'm done with that, though, I'll be heading down to Baragost. We'll be clearing that whole thing out. And then I'll be coming back to the friendly arm, because I'll have killed the spiders, and I think I'll have the girdle to give back at that point. I'm either going to give it back and kill, or I'm not going to give it back yet, and I'm going to do it later. It depends on how much rep I lose from doing so. I'll have to look it up, but because I don't know off the top of my head, I usually don't kill innocent people in my playthroughs. Generally, I use Control Y, which just instantly deals 1,149 points of damage, so that the game doesn't think I killed her, and I can still get the item that I logically should have, but regardless, that's for another time. So, thank you, anyone, for watching. We'll see you all, dang it, pressed a hotkey accidentally, in the next one.